Excellent. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk about how to get Japanese media attention for your company today. So I guess why should you listen to me regarding getting on Japanese TV? My company that I co-founded, OneCoin English, we've been featured on national TV shows and news probably like 10 times. So we've been on national TV many times. So we've been, I think last month we were on Chiko-chan ni Shikareru. We were on Matsuko Kaigi. We're on Getsuyokarayofukashi. I think News Every, NHK World, and we've been on TV many, many times. And I wanted to share my experience being on Japanese national TV and how it can help your business. And from my experience being on Matsuko Kaigi, which has, I think, 8 million viewers, was insane. Like being on Matsuko Kaigi once, I think that was like, I think we made 4 million yen, 5 million yen, but maybe over a year, we might have made several $100,000 just from that one TV appearance. And being on Matsuko Kaigi, we use X server, but our server shut down because there's so many people who came to our website, even though it was like a 5-second blast. And I have my friend Yusuke coming today as well. Yusuke does PR, and he was involved with PR in the Olympics. And Yusuke has helped with the Brown campaign, 2020 Olympics, for Sony, Evo Japan Esports, Nissan, and he's gotten his clients on Japanese TV and Zip, which is a very popular news program. So we're going to talk about our experiences getting on Japanese media. But just a quick introduction to myself. I'm the CEO of Scaling Your Company. I'm from Hawaii. I'm half Okinawan. Let's say, Nihongo Kente Ikkyu Gokaku. My blog on Japan, Lifestyle in Japan, gets 60,000 or 6,600 visitors a month. I'm the host of the Scaling Japan podcast, and I'm a 2x 500 global mentor. For my work experience, I co-founded OneCoin English, and I was there for 8 years, and I helped them scale to 8,000 students and 11 locations. I was HR director, and I ran our subsidiary and operations.
I'm Yusuke Kawazawa. I have been working as a PR professional for 20 years. I have worked on a lot of projects, including Toyota, Procter & Gamble Japan, Nestle Japan, SoftBank, Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and Evo Japan, an esports event. I am especially good at creating PR plans to the features on TV. And recently, creating plans that become trending topics on social media platform.
Thank you very much for sharing. And you're the CEO of Windward.
Windward.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess the first part is, why do most companies do not get featured in Japanese media? And I think the main reason is, let's say you do a press release on PR Times. I think you pay 30,000 yen and you hear nothing. It's the main reason is maybe the service is not unique or not wow. In our case, with OneCoin English, 500 yen English lessons, it's actually very interesting because we were the first 500 yen language school. There used to be cafe lessons, but we're the first school in Japan. So it's very easy to get picked up in the media. The second reason I see that companies don't get media attention is they do a press release and they might actually have an interesting service, but the copywriting, the way they present it, is not that interesting. So if I had to give an example, there was a travel company in Japan which wanted to promote their travel services to Hawaii. Because of COVID, it was difficult to go to Hawaii, but now that let's say, America's being more open to it, Japanese people could finally go to Hawaii. They did press releases, it failed. But they came up with an interesting insight. I don't remember the exact copy in Japanese, but I think they called it Ribenji Toraberu. So like revenge travel. And revenge sounds negative in English, but in Japanese, if you fail to do something and you want to try it again, like I wanted to go to Hawaii, but I couldn't go, but now I'm going to go again. I'm going to go now. They call it ribenji, revenge. So they said something like ribenji tareberu, and it got picked up on a lot of media. That word revenge travel got picked up by a lot of media, and that campaign was a success. But they failed several times, and that was a unique way of presenting it. And I was like, wow, that's a brilliant way of presenting a new service. And I think the biggest mistake that most companies make is an announcement is not news. People from the media, they're looking for news. They're looking for something interesting that people will want to read and learn more about. If I had to give you an example, there was a company that I know that was doing PR, or they did press release, and they said, we launched our new service for matching real estate or we created a software for helping real estate agents. That's not news. That's just an announcement. But if they were to say, maybe we were, in this case, it was a startup, but like, the biggest something in the US made its way to Japan, like Joriku. That's news. And that's something that might be picked up in TechCrunch. So if you're a startup and you're not the number one in your country, which would end up being news, your angle would be, sorry, it's you have to come up with a unique angle, like a catch copy, like revenge travel, and that would be your way of trying to sneak it in. So that's, if you need to learn one thing from this presentation, it's the difference between announcements versus news. And if you want to get featured in the media, it needs to be newsworthy. So how do you get featured in Japanese media? So from my experience, I will tell you how to get re-featured in Japanese media. But how I got my entry into Japanese media was luck. In my case, my co-founder was an assistant director for Fuji TV in his 20s, and we got on Matsuko Kaigi, so like Matsuko Deluxe, due to his friend being a part of that program. So we got our first appearance because we're lucky. But our second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth appearance, that wasn't luck. That was coordinated and planned. And yep. But I guess if you don't know anyone, it's I'll give you some other strategies to get featured, and Yusuke will share some as well. So I understand that I was very lucky for our first appearance, and then we used that effectively to get a lot more appearances. The second one I already talked about, but make sure you're newsworthy. And if it's not newsworthy, come up with a nice catch copy. Come up with a very nice header that gets people's attention. And some examples is, I don't know them personally, but there's a cat toilet called Toileta. I think it like records your cat taking a poop in the toilet, and it gives you a report on, is your cat's bowel movement okay? Like, it's silly, but it's news. People in lifestyle, they'll love hearing things like this. I gave you the revenge travel. One of my clients, they've been on TV 3 times, or one of my former clients, they've been on TV 3 times, and they were like a foreigner who was like an udon eating champion in Kagawa. And he appeared once, and he's been on TV multiple times just because he went to some competition, ate his heart out, and that he was able to promote his business through being the udon gaijin eating champion or something. And in our case, let's say OneCoin English, that was very easy to get on TV. The reason we were newsworthy is people always want to know how to save money. There's no one in the general public who doesn't want to save money. So that's why we're very easy to feature. And yep. And the third one, so if you do get featured on TV, in our case, the reason we were able to get re-featured on TV is because we dominate SEO. Probably several 100,000 viewers go to our English site, but people, so you have your director, assistant director, and you have people who search for interesting topics for the program. And in our case, they'll search, like Eikaiwa or like English language school. It'll pop up, oh wow, 500 yen English school. This looks really interesting. Then they'll come to our webpage, they'll check our media section. Oh, they're on Matsuko Kaigi. They're on Getsuyokarayofukashi. And they're on TV news okay, these guys know how to be on TV. We have the pictures. So that's how we got on TV again and again and again. And this is one that I haven't done this personally, but this is how other people have done it, is understand the reporter and provide value for them. So for example, if there's a reporter who's on Twitter, LinkedIn, when they make a post about their article, write a comment, write an interesting comment, tag them. And then if you can kind of get into a discussion with them, and if you do this like 10 times, 15 times, and you always have something interesting to say about the topics that they're writing about, they're probably going to quote you in a future article. The reason I don't do it is I have a lot of people who visit my blog who probably read the article, so I don't need it. But if I wanted to get on media, that's what I probably would do, and that's something I'll probably do later. Yeah, big one is make a media page. Last month, I made my media page on my personal website, and it's because once you can get on once, they'll go to your media page. And for media people, like they like to work with people who know how to craft the message for media. And media, they will check this section, and it's third-party validation. So you don't need to convince them if you've been in other places. And another one that I've seen is if you can connect your product or service to a social issue in Japan. I'll let Yusuke take it after. But first one is, so I think some of you know, there's a guy, I think the company's called like My Mizu. Like Robin, I think Takahashi, he's always in the newspaper. Like just follow him on LinkedIn, he'll always be posting. And in their case, it's just, let's say, I think basically it's a water bottle, and they have all these water, you can get water for free at a lot of different locations in Tokyo. And because saving, environmental causes is very popular now, he's always in the news. And I introduce Yusuke a client, and I think Yusuke will give that example.
Yesterday, there was earthquake in Taiwan, Okinawa. If your product or service helps people in that area, media broadcast your service and product.
Yeah, in this case, I think it's a water filtration system that you can take wherever you want. And I think in the unique case in their one, I think they found a way where you don't need to use cartridges. Like you could just use it once. And I think it lasts for like years, I think. But if, donating that for the cause, I think they could get, we're thinking they could get some media attention for that. I already covered this already, but why was OneCoin English easy to promote on TV? Yeah, it was just interesting. People want to save money, and it was a wow factor. But actually, our challenge with OneCoin English was that because of the price, people thought we were shite. Like, it's like 500 yen. This company is really suspicious. They must be in some dodgy area. I mean, our first location was actually in Kabukicho, aka Shinjuku school, but it wasn't Kabukicho, but at the outer end, across the street from Shinokubo, but people didn't need to know that. But we worked very hard to create that image, so they came to our website, the pictures of the the classrooms look nice enough. We had a lot of videos, looks nice enough. The foreigners that we featured on the site look very friendly, fun. And also we had in our media section, we have tons of screenshots. So although people were, so even if a person were to do research on us, they'll think, okay, you guys are probably a little bit sketchy, but when they come to the website, okay, this is pretty professional. And so it's easier for them to introduce. And I'll kind of give more example later, but so yes, I guess how to improve the likelihood of being selected. It's sometimes the media people, they'll be talking to several companies and they'll choose one to feature, the one that seems the most interested. So how do you make yourself more interesting to other people? I guess really understanding the target audience for that program and then coming up with topics that resonate for that target audience. If I have to give an example, I worked with the director and assistant director for Matsuko Kaigi, and it was to feature English lessons at our school. And the topic I asked him, so with Matsuko, is it a he or she? What should we call Matsuko, he or she? And he's like, exactly, so she. And so, okay, let's turn that into a lesson topic. So Matsuko, we ended up not using it, but Matsuko is a woman. She likes, so that was one way of kind of targeting is making it fun. Like the other example is I chose a teacher who is very tall, speaks perfect Japanese, loves Japan, and is good looking. And so he was very easy to feature. Another show, Getsuyokarayofukashi, it was, they had two obaka geinin, so like two, like let's say people who pretend to be stupid and they just say silly things. So I chose an African American teacher who has earrings, very cool, someone that a woman in their 20s, they're like, wow, this person's really cool. And so at Getsuyokarayofukashi, we were selected, I think we've been on their program 3 or 4 times because every time we sent someone, it was someone interesting. And we understand, like, you know, someone who, you have this obaka geinin who's going to say really dumb stuff. And if you have someone who's a serious teacher who's like trying to overcorrect them, you know, it's not going to work. But like, I think the teacher we feature, like some of them, like I think one of them almost like cried in laughter. And that's a good example of putting the right people on TV. And unfortunately myself, like I'm a little bit funny, but I'm not really funny. So one of the reasons we succeeded too is like, the first 2 times we're on TV, I did put my name in, like here, this is one of the teachers you can feature. But after that, I was like, actually, since my goal is to get featured again and again, I had to like lower my ego and I use other teachers. So to this day, I still have not been on national TV, but I can say that other people have been on national TV through me. I think in our case, create an appealing position, a proposition like One Coin English was a very interesting name. So it's very easy to mention. And a key point is the director, they're probably not searching for content to feature on TV. It's usually going to be the juniors, the underlings. So you need something that would be easy for an assistant director or like a researcher to suggest to the director. So like a revenge travel, One Coin English. And that's how you can get on. So you have to get, and for the assistant director, they're very scared to pitch ideas to their boss because they don't want to get shut down over and over again. So if you make it easy for them, you increase the likelihood to get featured. And another key point is, I think it has to be something that's very low risk to feature. So if you're in real estate, they have to do a lot of due diligence to make sure you're not, let's say, suspicious, Ayashi. Yusuke, do you know some other industries that's difficult to get media other than real estate? I think insurance, real estate, anything where it involves like a lot of trust, I think you have to really go out of your way to establish trust that you're reliable. So you might have to start low level first, then get something major after. And yeah, I think that's good. And I think the other tip would be maybe speak at events or where media people go to. So I think maybe Sushi Tech Tokyo is coming. I'm pretty sure media is going to be appearing there. One of my clients, they got picked up at the city Matsuri. So one of my clients, at the Matsuri, they brought cotton candy. When is the last time you've seen cotton candy at a Japanese Matsuri? Never. And they gave it away for free in return for giving your email address. And they had a line of, I think, people were waiting 1 hour in line to get free cotton candy. And there's media people, they saw that, like, you know, why is there all these people waiting in line for 1 hour? Cotton candy, they got featured in the news. The second one is, I have another client where they just keep, it's not the udon guy, but a different one. He just keeps winning contests. And so I just told him, like, you idiot, put it on your website. Every year, winner, 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 winner. And he recently he was on a TV program for his prefecture, which is better than national because he's a physical location business, but he was featured for his prefecture. They did a 25-minute special on him, and I guided him on how to answer their questions. Because one of the questions you'll probably get as a foreigner is, why did you come to Japan? And I told him, you have to say something that Japanese people is proud about. So in his case, let's say he did karate. I think probably the real reason he came is because of his wife, but the reason for TV was he liked, well, his second reason was karate and a martial arts, so we went with his second reason. And so if you say something that Japanese people are proud of, that's usually something that they like hearing for media. But if you say like food, it's kind of like, food is a bit overdone, so if you can find something else that works. And the other one I told you about, the udon. And I think they tried to go for a world record for something else. And yeah, so I think Yusuke, so I think Yusuke's case, so someone doesn't have media attention. And so how would you help them? So I know in your case, Yusuke has friends who are, so he helps people with PR. He has friends who are writers for TV programs. But could you tell them maybe more about that? Like how maybe a PR person can help them? そういうピアのコネたくさん持ってた、ピアの専門がどうやってその PR をもたらせる or 誘導ごめん、そのテレビに出る確率を上げるため、どのような対策を打てますか？
すみません、日本語で。
Okay, it's okay.
さっきも言ったように、ソーシャルイシュー、in Japan とうまくコネクトさせることが一番大事かなと。
Okay, so like, yeah, so one very important or kind of easier way to get in is if it's tied with a social issue, it's probably one of the easiest ways to get on TV. で、そうじゃなければ
やっぱり、小さなことでもナンバーワンな、トピックを見つける。
例えば自分の会社が何々のナンバーワン。Yeah, if you're the number one in a certain category, that's easy to pitch. And I think the example I gave was maybe you are the number one real estate something in the US and you're entering Japan, and that might be picked up by business media. なんか他ありますか？まあナンバーワンはもちろん紹介しやすい。
あとは、子供をうまく子供の興味を持つテーマを見つける。
Good Gotcha. So maybe like a topic that children would be very interested in, and I think probably the mothers. Like, do you have an example of 子供がなんていう興味を持つこと？も
We hold the event. We launched the rocket by candy, soft candy. Many adults think so foolish 馬鹿げたことを考えたけど、we can do it. So, children, あなたたちも自由にもっと楽しんで考えた方がいいよっていうこと、夢を、dream をね。
So they found a way to make a rocket using soft candy. And the ending point was, if we were able to come up with this, which is kind of something silly, what are you able to come up with if you're creative?
So, many TV programs broadcasted. NHK, 日本テレビ、フジテレビ、
Oh, wow.
many TV programs.
For that, right? And yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Like, I guess, does anyone have a question?
I have many questions actually, but I just kind of.
I think I never told you that I've been on TV a lot.
Yeah.
My companies have been on TV.
I actually noticed that. So maybe driving the conversation into a tiny bit to startups. So how startups, especially technology companies, they're doing a lot of boring stuff too, IPs and technology development, R&D and stuff like that. How they can appear in the media, maybe?
I can give a recent example. So I think my co-founder, he was interviewed for Nikkei. And in this case, the topic was, what are the challenges that foreigners have entering the Japanese market? I was never quoted in Nikkei, but my idea was in Nikkei. But it's, in that case, that one's a bit harder, but sometimes Nikkei features that, and I think Pivot. If you see, it's a YouTube channel called Pivot. They have like 50,000, 100,000 viewers per video. And recently they've been featuring a lot of foreign founders. I think majority of them can speak Japanese. But I think like Azuki, I think Fariza, Abidova, I think they were on Pivot and they get about 50K, 100,000 views, which is massive. But they're talking about startups. But in their case, they're doing specific features like recruitment industry. I think maybe Fariza's maybe innovation. So maybe in your case, it could be, what is the foreign startup ecosystem in Japan? And maybe you could pitch to Pivot. Like we're Founder Institute. We're one of the biggest, let's say, startup accelerator incubators in the world. We've done it 3 years in Japan. So we know the Japan market. We've been here long enough. And we would like to do a program talking about the foreign startup ecosystem. Maybe you could collaborate with Jeff over there. And
Hey,
you guys could go on together and Pivot.
Why not? Let's do it.
So I think Pivot can do it. But yeah, I think the other one, for the Nikkei example, in this case is more, my advice to you, so my co-founder for OneCoin English, he's often quoted by Nikkei. So it's one way is, if you can find someone who's quoted often, because reporters, they have their go-to people for comments. And I think if you might have seen my LinkedIn post was called, I've been in Japanese media 3 times, but I've never been in Japanese media. I was featured in Japan Times, and the quote was basically saying, I've written what people have submitted to the reporter 3 times. It was published, but they never quoted me. And so it's, but the challenge there is, if you can get them to quote you, that was my mistake. I should have said, like, if you could please quote me. But if you can get a person who's featured often, they'll get asked for a quote, they'll ask you, and then you'll beg them to feature you. In my case, I'm okay with it, but that's why I realized my mistake was because I thought like maybe they would be kind enough to mention, but no one was kind enough to mention. So I would say probably push it. And I can't say their names, but it's people you know that they've quoted me on topics that they're not experts on, and they sounded like experts. But so sorry for letting my unks out there, but I think that strategy can work.
Yeah. Thank you.
But other than that, if you're not in the in, you might have to do that strategy of liking their posts. And I'm actually thinking I might get one of my assistants to come up with all the lists of journalists and sell that as a service. So if we come up with that, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, that would be great. Actually, it would be a great resource to use it.
So yeah, I think that's an idea. A business idea I have. So hopefully, whoever's listening, if you steal it, I'll call you out. So don't steal that idea.
Because we can't even identify who are these journalists and what they're writing. It's so hard to find in Japanese media. In the international media, it's pretty much systematic and programmatic almost. But in Japan, it's not that much obvious, That would be great.
Yeah, so I think in your case, probably Nikkei is the best. Nikkei would be a good one. Or if you want to get connected with more old school Japan, I would say Nikkei. If you want to get more connected with new school Japan, probably Pivot or Newspicks. Or Foreign Correspondence Club. That one, I don't know too much about Foreign Correspondence Club.
But they're not media, right? But they're not media, right?
I think they meet every Tuesday. They have breakfast together. So just look up the Foreign Correspondence Club. And,
yeah, I know them.
Join their breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah. Questions?
Thanks, Ed. But did I answer your question? Or I guess.
Thank you.
Or what is your next action?
What I would do is
So I blabbered a lot. That's why I want to make sure I understand what your next action is.
Yeah. Okay. So the media that you mentioned, the pivot, I would reach out them. Maybe.
If it's news picks, I think one of my clients got invested by, let's say, the parent company of Newspicks, and they feature their company. So if you know anyone who has received investment from, I think, the parent company, that's one way to get into Newspicks.
You know what? Even though we have a budget, it doesn't look like purchasable. Like you can go and then buy some media attention. But when it comes to influencer marketing, it looks like more approachable. So I find a lot of really nice agents. I even reach out one of the very well-known influencer is abroad in Japan. The guy.
Oh yeah,
Chris Broad. Yeah. So he was very kind of to me to reply actually. So he said that, hey, I have an agency. Why not you talk with them? Maybe they can be taking an action. So yeah. So I'm thinking to approach them, for example. They have even English website, even English. so it looks like more approachable. So even though someone who has a budget, so they can approach them. But the traditional Japanese media, even though they need these kind of stories, I believe, it's not convenient. Just because it's not convenient, we can't approach them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. I think one your angles would be, if you got a company from Founder Institute who succeeded in Japan, I think that might be a nice angle to pitch as well. That could be one.
The story needs to be very strong so they can't say no, right?
Yeah.
You need to find a great story.
So it has to be, I guess, for them it has to be something novel.
Okay.
It's maybe if you buy me a few beers, I can come up with something.
I can buy any beers you want, anything. Great advice. Thank you so much, Tyson.
My pleasure. Any other questions?
Two thoughts maybe you could comment on. Thought number one, if you are a startup company, then I have experience working in a startup as well as working for a big organization. Big organizations are always very, very boring. So they need to always issue boring statements, but they don't score that well. So if you are a startup company, take a risk. That's my advice number one.
Yeah, because the revenge travel one, that actually was a travel startup.
So that's I think that's really, you have a great opportunity because you're not bound to the limitations the big organizations are bounded by. Second comment is that you might want to, not every media exposure is equally valuable. So what I see a lot, if you have a lot of exposure, but it doesn't convert. So try to be very focused on where you want to be exposed. Your udon eater, who was exposed in his prefecture, I think was a good example, because you can try to be exposed anywhere, but it just, people forget about it immediately. So try to resonate with the people that you're actually targeting.
And sometimes they won't actually mention your company, or they'll mention for like a brief second. So it's actually really hard. Like, you really have to be like, please mention our company, even just for like 10 seconds.
Right.
And in our case, 10 seconds crashed the server because it's 8 million people. But yeah, no, that's really important too. But one thought I do have is, for your first several times on media, I wouldn't be too picky, even if it's not the right audience, just to show other media people that you understand the game. You know how to present something interesting.
Right. Okay.
And so
that's a good point. That's a good point.
So you can come up with the right neta or topic angle.
But don't expect miracles from that, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And if you can come up with a good angle, that will, because they're probably looking at multiple companies at the same time, that increases your likelihood of getting featured.
Right. Those were my 2 cents. Thank you.
Anyone else? Could you?
I'm kind of new to media, so maybe it's a naive question, but working with your local, like your shiakusho or kuyakusho, are they any help in promoting your business to get introductions to further media down the line?
I don't know the answer to that one, but one answer I do know is some shiakushos, they offer paid advertisement where you can kind of show something on the TV screens. I have multiple clients who have done it. We're not doing it again.
Why?
It's or they haven't received any customers from it. Even if they were in the kids section of the shiakusho with a service for kids, they've asked their customers where they came from. No one said the shiakusho. So maybe, like, let's say, as a awareness marketing, brand marketing, it could work. Maybe the first time they saw it was the shiakusho, but they didn't remember it.
The reason I ask is we live in a Tama area, and they have Tama television.
And
Tama TV seems to follow some of these government groups.
It's like so I think the case that's more related to yours is, so my client they're in a city with maybe 100,000 people, and the local newspaper saw them at the Matsuri. And that's how they got featured. But I haven't heard of anyone through the shiakusho, unfortunately. Do you know if the shiakusho or kuyakusho can help someone with getting media attention? And sorry, was it sponsored by the kuyakusho shiakusho for Tamashi?
It was free.
Gotcha.
So a lot of these events are put on because they're looking for local interest too, and they're trying to attract businesses to their area, especially international businesses.
Gotcha. All right, I'll answer after Yusuke.
Recently, the number of people increase, move to countryside. If that government, shiakusho, kuyakusho, thinking plans. Many people come. Many media broadcast. Good situation. Issue immigration.
So I would kind of so like one case is if you have like a city where many foreigners are coming to, that city will probably want to try to get promotion on bigger media that they're a nice place to go to. And if that's the case, it might be easier for you to get featured as one of the residents in that city who's a happy resident. And so that so I think that's one other way of getting more like a national. But yeah, to answer your question, I think a way that you could connect with the city to get media attention is probably the example that Yusuke mentioned, where the city has an initiative that they want to achieve, spread. In this case, they want to attract more foreigners to their city. And you can align your pitch, your service, or sorry, or you can align your pitch to that need, it increases your chances. So kind of like, so I think that's one example. So a local foreign business owner in that area, that could be one example.
Yeah, I was interested because this is free media that we're talking about right now. And of course we have paid media too. So, and other agencies that can do some of the work too, but we're discussing tonight kind of the free media.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought, well, I've never seen anyone or heard of any of them doing this.
So my client who won a lot of awards, his case is they got in the local TV channel, and that worked very well because they're in the biggest city in that prefecture, and a lot of households watch that program, and so it worked very well for him. But,
you go. Hey, how's it going? So I don't know if this is a good question, but so my company recently got a little bit of a media feature for the first time, a blurb in a magazine. And I was wondering if you have any general recommendations for sort of writing a little bit of initial media exposure to bigger and better media exposure.
So I guess what does your company do and where was it featured?
So we make a tempeh product, and we were featured in Frau magazine's January issue.
And is Frau a Japanese or is it a German?
It's a Japanese magazine. Actually, I don't know a ton about the magazine. It's like a sort of lifestyle and beauty and health magazine. So they have recommendations for, you know, various items, food items, technology items, and we were like on the monthly 25 item feature.
Gotcha. そう、彼のなんかテッペイなんか食べ物？テッペイちょっと日本語でわからない。でもそういう
like 大豆の発酵食品。
Can you say it one more time?
大豆の発酵食品。Yeah.
でそれがフラウという雑誌に主催されて、でそれを彼はそのフラウに出たことをどうやって活用してもっと大きなメディアに。で、my first, I'll let you think. And, I'll answer first, then I'll let you answer. One thing I would check is see if Frau is owned by a bigger media company. And that might be an opportunity to get featured in the bigger. It might not be the same department, but that could lead to something. And どうぞ。
SNS で。You should post your SNS account, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Repeatedly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
はい、エルディン。私はまだやったことないけど、多分インスタグラムでブースティング、なんていう、そういう主催されたことをインスタグラムで、そのブースティングで拡張して、それが効果あるんでしょうか。 More organic. Instagram. まあ、インスタより Twitter の方が。Or sorry, Twitter, I mean, you understand, but for everyone else, Twitter works better than Instagram.
A simple question: did platforms like PR Times and some others works well? Do you think, even though we are paying for them, do you think that it works?
PR Times. どう思いますか?
It is very reasonable. So, I like it. But, そうね。でも、すごく取材がですから大きなメディアに発展することケースは多くはないと思います。
Yusuke thinks PR Times is a cost-effective measure, but in terms of getting mass, like major media, he thinks it's not effective. じゃあ、どんなところに有効的その PR Times? Of course, yeah. You'll let me pitch my services after that, SEO. What? Yeah. Yeah, good answer.
やっぱりリーズナブルなので、やっておくのは大事だと思います。PR Times。
So, because the price is reasonable, he thinks it's worth doing. But どんなところが PR Times をなんていう確認してます。まあ読んでます。その記者とか。そういうこと。どんどんやって、多分その信頼が高めますね。So yeah, is kind of my thought too. But if you do, PR Times is very reasonable to do, and if you do it repeatedly, and if people, the reporters, they hear about you on PR Times multiple times, they hear you on other channels, it increases your likelihood. And すごいなんかリマインド機能はありますよね。その PR Times. Kind of like, let's say, like it reminds them, oh yeah, I've heard about this company. Maybe this time I'll give them a chance. But do you know which media you use? Like, are youちゃんと見てる。
でもやっとく見てるメディアはあるから。
So, yeah, we don't have a precise answer like, who exactly looks at it, but some media channels do look at PR Times. And my personal thought too is I think the catch copy, the header, has to be very good for PR Times. Because it's cheap and reasonable, there's a lot of crap as well.
Several smaller size of media outlets, most of the blogs picked up us. Maybe, I guess 7, 8 places we appear, but it wasn't effective at all. Like nobody applying, nobody coming, nothing. It's just appearing in some places that we cannot even read their names. See what I mean? So it wasn't that much useful for us. Honestly, even though it's Japanese, written by the Japanese person native, the kind of like newsletter we write and put it out there, it didn't work. Maybe it's this kind of cookie cat approach doesn't work. Maybe we should come up better stories, maybe, right?
My personal thought too is like, I think if I was in your shoes, I'm not sure if PR is actually the way to go, because I think it's kind of a hard sell, and if it is, it's a one-time thing. It's I think it's really community and word of mouth, and it's just kind of doing it long term. Also, my article on accelerators in Japan is ranking in the top of Google, or at least or it used to be top, but maybe it's like 7 or 8 now, and free media. So it's maybe it helps a little bit. but I think SEO is probably the way to go.
Hi, I run my
Hey, Vijay.
startup. Hi. So like I run my startup here. It's a tech startup. For us, we need to create more visibility, like branding. So spending money on media or spending money on social media or community building, like which is the best? Like we need result. So which is the best way to get the result?
Well, I think I know you, VG. Like, I think your company has some PR potential. Like, she from India, and they have a program that they use to train people in India and Singapore to do programming, and I think business topics. But I think your business is a bit PR worthy because the angle I would probably go with is, let's say, something that connects like India and Japan and technology. It's なんか、なんていう、日本人ができるインド系、なんていう、プログラミング、なんとかなんとか。なんか日本とインドの技術なんかをつないで、なんか面白いストーリー作れるんじゃないかなと私が思ってます。So too. I don't know the specifics, but it's something like I'm trying to think. It's it's like it's something. So India has a good reputation, Japan for technology, and one possibly similarities. Let's say similarities maybe. なんか日本とインド系の技術の学ぶ方法の共通点とか、まあ、もう私は英語だったら、日本人でもすぐできる英語を勉強、なんていう、なんかできる方法の必技を教えます。Yeah, maybe I'm not so successful this time with it. Go ahead. What was your question again?
Like for our like startup, we need more visibility, like branding. So
Yes.
spending money on media or spending money on social, like SNS marketing or building community, like which is the best way, like which is worth to create the result,
Yeah, I think my thoughts for yours is I think first, before you spend money on media or like really, I think you have to figure out why like your method of teaching like programming or like business education is a perfect match for Japanese. And I think you, after testing, doing a lot of testing programs, I think once you get that point, I think that's when you'll be ready for promotion.
Okay.
But I think if you try to do it right now, I think your message will be a bit weak. So I think it really has to be kind of unique. And like, for example, like one business idea I had was, I actually kind of want to create a accounting firm for foreigners. And like my angle would be, 日本の会計士大嫌い。不満。Yeah. Of course, I probably wouldn't do PR because I don't want to make enemies, but that is an interesting angle. Like, why do foreigners hate Japanese accountants? Because they charge you a lot and don't do much, and they don't really help you save money, and you just have to knock on their door every day to help you. But that could be a good news story. But that's because I know the target audience and how it would, and like for the Japanese is like, maybe the Nikkei would like to get more foreign and they want to know why foreigners are struggling in Japan. It's because the kaikeishis don't help us save enough money on taxes. And that could be an interesting angle. So I think you have to just kind of, long story short, really understand your unique point for the Japanese audience. And then I think you could get some potential PR for that. And so in our case with OneCoin English, it's super cheap. It's good enough quality, or I'll say good quality on TV, but it's good enough quality. And we have teachers who like Japan, and they're very easy to talk to for Japanese people. And that's our unique point. They're very easy for Japanese people to talk to, and easy for Japanese people to feel comfortable and like them. And that's kind of, so you have to kind of find your unique angle. And I think in your case, if you could connect how you found some secret because India is a great country of education that can help benefit Japanese people, that could be your unique angle. I don't know the answer, but hopefully you can come up with. Yeah. Yeah. So why are there so many great IT engineers from India? I think that topic has been done, but maybe it's a renewal. They might need to do a renewal of it. Or it's like, let's say, or you could say something like, なぜ日本の IT 企業のプログラムの 50% がインド人? So why are 50% of programmers in Japanese tech companies Indians? You can figure out the answer from now, but that is an angle. Because that 50%, well, 50% 半分がインド人. And it's and the reason for that is VG knows the reason. In 2 months. Does anyone else have a question or maybe a PR challenge? Cool. So I guess thank you for listening. Maybe we can promote ourselves a little bit. But Yusuke, I'll let you go first. All right, do you want me to go first? Okay. I guess my self-promotion is I advise Japanese and foreign companies on scaling their organization from 10 million yen to, I guess, a 10 oku yen, or maybe $10 million. My sweet spot is marketing, recruitment, work efficiency, and now sales. Like my clients have been closing corporate deals. My clients we've increased their success rate of getting second meetings. I have pretty good success on the sales end now. And for marketing service, website creation, English, Japanese, SEO, Google Maps. And so I grew Japan Switch and BFF Tokyo to 60,000 monthly SEO visitors or unique visitors. Scaling your company has 6,000, actually it's 6,700 monthly B2B visitors. I've ranked probably like 50 locations in the top 3 of Google Maps, like Shinjuku, Shibuya, Yokohama. I've ranked pretty much everything for Google Maps top 3. My competitor, or like my client's competitor, has 200 reviews. We have 40 reviews. We're number 1. So it's reviews ain't everything. For my Facebook ads, for at least my company, we did a 6 to 10x return on Facebook ad spend. For Japan Switch, my Instagram ads had like 1,000 likes, 100 shares, 100 comments. Did it like 5 or 6 times. So it's maybe Japan Factory might beat me, but I'm probably in the top. I would say we've had success. And yeah, just helped a lot of companies grow their sales through sales and marketing. Cool. And I guess my proud thing for recruitment, I hired 1,000 teachers without spending any money. I've never paid for a job board and hired 1,000 teachers. So I think no one else has achieved that. And yeah, and I think it relates to PR as well. And why did I get good at this? I used to work for a corporation where I did a survey of employees, and employee satisfaction was 2 out of 5. And I was like, oh my God, everyone hates our company. And so that made me think. I was able to get it to 3.8 out of 5 after 1 year. But when you work for a company in HR where majority of your employees don't want to be there, you learn to be a little persuasive and become a little bit good at storytelling, or else everyone will quit. So that's kind of like how I got good at marketing and sales.
I just said.
でも多分日本人が多分オンラインも多分50人100人が聞きますので、ぜひ自分の会社を。
まあ私は本当日本での PR の経験はたくさん持ってます。I have a lot of PR experience and I have a team. I have my good interpreter. So if you have a project, PR project, PR event, PR promotion, media tie-up, and so on, please contact me. Thank you.
And his good interpreter is a real interpreter. It's not me. Just to make that clear. It's a real professional. So cool. Thank you very much for listening and your tough questions. It was a lot of fun.